remaining. A bell will sound when you have 30 seconds left, and when your time is ended, the bell will sound again, and you should complete your comments. Before you begin your comments, please state your name. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to your Fort Worth City Council meeting. I'll call us to order.
Tonight's invocation will be by priest Murali Krishna from the Hindu Temple of Greater Fort Worth. Please rise and remain standing for the invocation and remain standing for the pledges of allegiance.
Harihi Om Gananantva Ganapatigum Havamahe Kavim Kavinam Upamashravastamam Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspada Anashunvannoti Bhesida Sadhanam Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Om. May we all be protected. May we all be nourished. May we work together with great energy. May our intellect be sharpened. Let there be no animosity amongst us. Om, peace in me, peace in nature, peace in divine forces. Om, Asatoma, Sadgamaya, Tamasoma, Jyotirgamaya, Mrityormam, Amrutangamaya. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. From ignorance, lead me to truth. From darkness, lead me to light. From death, lead me to immortality. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you.
Our first item of business will be consideration of minutes from the February 10th, 14th, and 21st council meetings.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion, council? Please vote. Motion carries.
Mayor, that concludes all of the action items.
Thank you. Our first public presentation this evening is Bob Willoughby, followed by Adrian Smith.
Okay, we'll start off that way. We'll start off with this. You would get this on the screen for me, please. What this is a criminal no trespassing thing. As of now, until the rest of my life, I am banned from going to a community center, Hanley Community Center. I can't go there anymore, the rest of my life. You know, there's two things on this ticket. They don't put a date for expiration. Some people say it's good for a year. Well, that's hogwash. How do you know? It's got to be written on here. Put a year on here if it's a year, or what it is. The second thing you don't have here is try to call somebody if you want to appeal because it's given to you bogusly. It was a political thing that got me this by Councilmember Gina Bibbins. Put on a phone number and a contact, because I've called everybody. How do you appeal it? Right now, I've called 5 times to the DA's office. He won't turn a call. Police say go to DA. DA says go with police. Well, I tried the police. Our police chief, Neil Noakes, he runs out the building. I chase him with a camera. He won't talk to me about this. I want this off of my head. You got it? Here's another reason you got this. You'll find out you can't file assault charge against a police officer. I want to file assault charge. We can clear this out better. I know it looks better than that somehow or another. Look, I'm trying to block it out. Anyway, these two officers are guilty of assault. When you call the police department, they say call internal affairs. Internal affairs won't return a phone call. How can you even make a report when they won't return a phone call and the chief of police runs out the door? City manager, highest paid employee in the state of Texas. I chase him around the building with a camera too. He won't return a call. That's embarrassing. You are an embarrassment, believe me. We need some real people down here to run this city. Fort Worth's a $1.7 billion business, and it's run by these people. Anyway, the assault charge happened in District 5. 3 people are running in that race. Gina Bibbins and 2 other candidates are running. This one's heating up good. One of the candidates got removed from a public building by police. They used the police to remove him because they didn't want the candidate in the public building at the public meeting. That should be against the law. The other candidate, a pastor, his house got 30 rounds of gunshot into it. Shot up 30 times to try to scare him out of the race. That's District 5. The only one that's not suffering in District 5 is Gina Bibbins. You watch how they do things. Okay, thank you. That looks better. 3 minutes is not enough time, especially when you're overweight like me. Okay. How can anybody vote for someone that would take away your right to speak here? We don't speak at council meetings anymore. You know what other cities?
Our next speaker is Adrian Smith, followed by Jim DeLong.
Huh. I didn't even hear the bell. Did y'all hear a bell? I didn't hear one.
Adrian Smith.
No one heard a bell, did they? How can you shut me down like that? Oh, it's not working. We just get...
Bob, thank you very much. Adrian, you're up next. Jim DeLong will be followed by Adrian Smith, or Adrian's first.
Not even a bell.
Adrian Smith, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my redeemer. So, social media platforms have means by which they are governed when it pertains to content shared on them. If anyone takes issue with something shared by another individual, then that individual must use what's available by the particular platform for addressing said issue. No one in a position of power should use their position for means to threaten the livelihood of anyone. Council, know that we are watching as well as listening. And when I make that statement, I'm speaking regarding while we share our time here in council chambers, or whether it's in work session, or whether you are out doing your council duties, we are watching and we are listening. So I'm not naming names, but please look interested if you're not interested. Don't, please, put on a face like you're interested in what's going on, because we are watching and we are listening. And like I said, I won't say names. Councilman Crane, IR 23-050. Sir, please, it's no time for putting your cape on or sticking your chest out. The Las Vegas Trail Corridor, where people are still suffering and having issues, it requires more than this said development that's going to happen, okay? It takes more, sir. So please, put your cape up and put your chest back in. IR 23-049. Councilman Nettles, thank you. I understand what direction you were going in regarding this matter. I truly think that scales are possible. I don't use marijuana, but scales are possible. I've seen miniature scales. So that recommendation which you proposed today, it could be done. CCPD funding makes it possible. They had the money. Let's get it done, Fort Worth PD. Last but not least, I'll come back to Mr. Flores another time. Chief Noakes, we are not interested in your proposed police oversight. The same diversity you spoke of in your most recent interview with WFAA 8, Scoop Jefferson, regarding your proposal. We already had recommendations from our Race and Culture Task Force pertaining to police oversight. So your proposals, sir, we do not want. In closing, you spoke to video editing. We know that video editing only serves to protect law enforcement in this city. So again, sir, we do not care for your proposal. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Jim DeLong, followed by Lashondra Huggins.
Good evening, I'm Jim DeLong. It's nice to be back in our country. I spent a couple of weeks in India, and a great nation, but you know, there's no place like home. I'm coming here tonight to speak as a concerned citizen, one who loves this city. I want to build bridges. I want to help create unity. And in today's environment, that voice is not heard much. I want to tell you a story. There was a turtle and a scorpion. They both needed to get across a river. So the turtle was heading towards the river, and they moved kind of slow. The scorpion came up to the river and said, I really need to get over there. The turtle said, yeah, but you're a scorpion, I'm afraid. No, I won't do anything. I promise. Just help me get across. So the turtle said yes, and they got to the other side, and the scorpion stung him. And the turtle turned to the scorpion and said, why did you do that? And the scorpion replied, it's just who I am. There's an ancient proverb that says, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. If you want to peg someone and understand where they're coming from, listen to what they say and the tone and the attitude that they have when they say it. That will show you the condition of their heart. If people speak hate, division, anarchy, schism, you know what's in their heart. They've spoken it out. No one has to try to determine who they are. They have shown everyone who they are. And so as the council, I encourage you, listen to the people that want to build up and not tear down. Listen to those who want to give a helping hand, not those who complain and yell and try to demoralize people and anger people. You're not obligated to listen to any of them because they're not going to help this city be the bright and shining light that we all want this city to be. I love this city. I'm thankful for this city. And I'm glad I have 24 seconds left. So please, when you listen, determine what the hearts are, the people that are speaking, and make decisions to lift up the city and not tear it down. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Lashondra Huggins by phone, followed by Geraldine Cox.
Ms. Huggins?
Hello. Am I going? Hello. Yes, my name is Lashondra Huggins, and I love this city too. Hello, city. Next Door. I don't know how many of you are on the Next Door app, but yes, I love that app. Like I said, I won't go into how it got started, but it is a free app for the city, the neighborhood. I don't know if it started out as my neighborhood. I don't know why we were having problems in my neighborhood. And my neighborhood right now is my parents' house, which is my parental house. They said we don't say it anymore. So I really don't like to say my neighborhood because it's not my house. It is my parents' house. And, but anybody that knows me that knows, I lived and I used to work right at the Y down the street. So it was never a problem for me to tell people who I was, where I lived, and what I do. And really, you know, my father was in the Air Force. So at any given time, that if I'm a kid and I mouth off and, you know, this oversight committee, the police, you don't call the police or me. You call the air base that my parent is at, or you're calling a hospital that my mother is at because she was also a nurse, or my school or somebody else is supposed to call them to come get me. Like, what is going on with this child? So, like I said, unfortunately, I think I've only met Council Member Bivens. I've stood by a few other, I think I stood by Ann Zeta. And, yeah, unfortunately, I met Jungus Jordan when he just about ran over me with his wheelchair. But, yeah, but conceivably, I'm pretty excited. I just got some Donald Trump gold bars in the mail. But, you know, the president could come and get me for a statement. And for me, the president speaking this month is a lot of problem that's going on with our neighborhoods and the construction and money in America, which is where it is going, which is one story. You know, my story right now is Fort Worth Mitsubishi and a Forena Rebel Stokes apartment complex located in Leonardo Firestones, mainly because, you know, any altercation, things are going to arbitration. So I'm not sure, like with the Jacqueline Craig, anybody else that's been up there speaking, I spoke on this before, the problem with these police, these oversight committees, and whatever have you and not, is the right to sue the city, the right to go to this council district, an attorney is sometimes it's being taken away from people, and it's going to a format
Thank you,
almost
Ms.
like
Huggins.
this called
Thank
arbitration.
you. Our next speaker is Ms. Geraldine Cox, or Jackie Cox. I haven't seen Ms. Cox. Is she here? No? If she walks in, we'll have her come up. Marlena Tillman is followed by Mary Goodman.
Ms. Parks, this is the second time I'm meeting you. My name is pronounced Maria Lena Tillman. Thank you very much. Today, I was going to speak on behalf of the Waterview Tenants Association, but I think we need to go in a different direction today. Last month, Abbott told agencies to stop considering diversity in hiring. I'm going to tell you that's a bad idea for Fort Worth. In April of last year, or actually in 2021, I was assaulted by a neo-Nazi in my workplace. I was then fired by my employer for reacting after de-escalating the situation using techniques that were taught to me by my therapist. I filed a charge of discrimination with the EEOC, and then I called every lawyer that was listed on that referral list. Every single discrimination lawyer on that list told me they could not take my case. And I was lucky that one lawyer picked up the phone and said, let me tell you why no one's going to take your case. In the DFW Metroplex, most of the judges are Republican. If you take a racial discrimination case up to that docket or to the court, they're going to throw it out. He then proceeded to tell me a story about a gentleman who was a blue-collar worker, and I guess his coworkers drew a picture of a noose and put it on his desk. This was 20 years ago. And he took that case to court, and the judge threw it right on out and said, that's fine, it's not a big deal. I am sure that everyone in here, when you're looking at me, you probably all have a different perspective of who I am, but make no mistake about it. I am equal parts Black, Vietnamese, and Swedish Jew. And if you think that these target groups are not studying the subject of their hate, I think you need to reassess the citizens and the residents of Fort Worth. We really just need our council members to reinforce policies that are already existing. We don't need new policies. We need to make sure that the workplace is fair, that you guys are taking into consideration the racial tension that's not only in Texas, but in Fort Worth. Fort Worth needs to set the standard. And while I'm on the subject, before I get off of here, I hope that in the future we're going to discuss how we're going to preserve Berry Street and Riverside and Berry Street while they're in the process of gentrifying it. Also, one more thing, District 9, the domestic violence shelters in Fort Worth are littered with active duty military spouses. I advise that you pay them a visit.
Our next speaker, actually, I'll have Ms. Cox come up. Jackie, if you would like to come up, followed by Mary Goodman. You're welcome.
Thank you. I'm Jackie Cox. I live in Jared Williams District. Sometimes the city of Fort Worth seems quite racist and fairly charged with environmental racism. If you were to go look at the website for the Equal Protection Administration, EPA, you would find a map that shows where the worst pollution is in Fort Worth. And then you would find correlations between the worst pollution and the concentrations of minority populations. And sometimes this hits quite close to home because not so long ago, I and others from the Sierra Club appeared here saying, please do not rezone as industrial a lot in Echo Heights or near Echo Heights, where there's a school or near a school, and where there's a population of people who suffer a lot from respiratory problems, early terminations of pregnancy, loss of babies, cancer. These are serious illnesses that are caused by pollution in their neighborhood. Economic decisions about where you're going to put businesses and where you're going to concentrate your industrial use has human term harms. So we're asking that you change your plan for next year, your community plan, so that Echo Heights is no longer in an industrial use area. You have the opportunity to keep people from dying early and suffering while they live. Please redo your community plan and take Echo Heights out of an industrial use area. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cox. Our next speaker is Spencer Dickinson. No, Mary Goodman. I'm sorry, Mary. My apologies. Followed by Spencer Dickinson.
My name's Mary Goodman, and I am in Chris Nettles' district. I spoke here before, and I'm following Jackie, and we are all members of the Sierra Club. But I do once again want to reiterate what she is saying, that we need to protect our east side communities from additional industrial pollution by revising the 2023 draft comprehensive plan. Industrial zoning is concentrated in majority minority communities. Specifically, Echo Heights and Stop 6 are already overburdened with air, water, and land pollution, dangerous heavy truck traffic, and noise. The city's industrial growth center is located adjacent to the Echo Heights community, and the draft plan calls for expanding it. It also calls for expanding industrial land uses around W.M. Green Elementary School and other areas adjacent to residential areas. So the Sierra Club is going to be focusing on this. Number one, I request the City Plan Commission go back to the drawing board and remove any newly designated industrial uses, decrease the industrial growth center boundary, and designate the AG zoned area around W.M. Green Elementary School, as public park, recreation, and open space. In addition to revising the comprehensive plan, I ask and recommend the city purchase the AG zoned land just north and south of Green Elementary. And then finally, I request to delay the proposed March 21st, 2023 City Council vote that is being scheduled to adopt the plan. The residents of East Fort Worth and others need more time to provide input and offer revisions to this plan. Historically, industrial zoning was concentrated near low-income minority communities. We need to correct the environmental injustice that plagues the east side of Fort Worth. The Sierra Club is committed to finding a way to provide environmental justice to correct the wrongs of the past. And I ask the City Council to please look into correcting.
Thank you, Ms.
those
Goodman.
wrongs.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Spencer Dickinson, followed by James Smith.
Council members, Mayor Parker, my name is Spencer Dickinson. I am a resident of Tarrant County. I work in Fort Worth, and I am also a concerned citizen and a member of the Sierra Club. So I will not speak for very long. Just a couple of points to add to my esteemed and well-spoken colleagues. So I applaud the council for the overall planning effort and focus on the future for the city. The plan calls for building strong neighborhoods. And as my colleagues in the Sierra Club have said, there are some issues when it comes to the environmental impact of the industrial growth on communities that aren't being addressed. I've marked through quite a bit, but the data points that I'd like to add is that of the 81 elementary schools in the Fort Worth ISD, 9 are either zoned industrially or adjacent to industrially zoned land. That should not be an excuse to add to the problem, but a reason to create more green space. And as Jackie mentioned, I believe this council, in your infinite wisdom, made that decision on Echo Heights last year. I would add my voice to ask that you honor that decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dickinson. Our next speaker is James Smith, followed by Carolyn Rodriguez.
Good afternoon, Council. My name is James Smith. I live in District 8. On February 9th, I was preparing to go, which I did go, to Amber Carr's wake and a funeral the next day. On February 9th, I believe it was February 9th, Manuel Mata was on my block, about a block from my house, and he was arrested. I watched the video of his arrest, and I was appalled because I didn't see anything that he did wrong. In this city, we say, if you see something, say something. Well, I've seen a lot, so now I'm going to speak on it. Manuel Mata has been arrested more times in the city of Fort Worth than need be because each arrest, as you well know, wasn't supposed to be. That's not good policing. You want us to trust the police, you want to build a bridge with the community and the police, and then you have incidences like that. Yeah, it's not going to work. It doesn't gel. To watch 5 or more police officers arrive on a scene of filming the police is despicable. If he had a knife or a gun or he was threatening somebody, I could see you calling in 5 or 7 extra officers to deal with the situation. He was on a public sidewalk doing what is illegal, but yet he was arrested. That's not acceptable. Recently, you voted on a motion to have 3 or more council members sign off on what you add to your agenda. I think that was a mute motion, simply because if only one of you were able to put something on the agenda, it would take the 9 of you to decide if whatever you put on the agenda got passed or not. So to do that was mute and offensive in my humble opinion. Saturday, March the 11th, we're going to honor Tatiana Jefferson. Well, the neighborhood is going to honor Tatiana Jefferson with the unveiling of the new Hillside Recreation Center name. Months ago, I was told that the city and clergy were going to do something in honor of our Tatiana. I've yet to see or heard what that would entail. So I want to take this opportunity to invite those of you who can to attend the unveiling. And like I've said before, this building, Tatiana's death, is going to be a catalyst of change on the south side.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Our next speaker is Carolyn Rodriguez, followed by Manuel Mata.
Carolina here. Carolina. Thank you for your speech. But one thing he didn't ask was, why do we film the police? Does anybody know why we film the police? We film the police because we have to. And we have to film them because the report that the officer writes doesn't always match what the body camera footage or the video shows. So when there's no body cam footage or if there's not any kind of video, the police officer's always believed over the citizen. It seems like if there is any kind of controversy, the body cam footage would just disappear. But we can film the police, we're allowed to. We have case law that says that we can. One of the case laws is called Turner versus Driver, which started right here in Fort Worth. It occurred right here in Fort Worth, and it established the fact that we are allowed to film police in their public duties. We also have another case law called Houston versus Hill, which says that we're allowed to speak how we want to the police. And of course, we have the First Amendment, which gives us free speech. But they don't want us to film them, and I don't understand why. If they're saying how awesome they are and that they're the best police force ever, what are they hiding when they try to not let us film? Why do they arrest us when we're filming? And if I was a police officer, I'd want somebody to come and film me and see how great I'm doing. Look at me, I'm doing good, look what I'm doing. But they're always trying to hide some of the shady stuff they're doing. And with Manuel Mata, he's not the only one that's been arrested from filming. We have several of us that have been arrested for filming. And they're using a law called a statute, 38.15 against us, Texas Penal Code 38.15. They're always arresting us for interference with public duties. And the statute reads, and it's in black and white, it says, a person commits an offense if that person with criminal negligence interrupts, disrupts, or impedes police in their public duties. That last video of Manuel Mata, I didn't see him doing any of that. The one before that, I didn't see him doing any of that, and the one before that either. Also, written right into the penal code, it says it is a defense to prosecution under this section that the interruption, disruption, impediment, or the interference consisted of speech alone. So if we're just talking or yakking at them, they're not supposed to be able to arrest us for that. The other thing I wanted to touch on was what Bob was talking about as far as trespassing goes. That's another tactic they're using. They're trespassing us out of public buildings. As far as that goes, is that he was talking about how he can't seem to find out how to fix it. We tried that already. We can't figure out how to fix it either. We've been to the district attorney, we've talked to lawyers, nobody seems to understand it. So you can be trespassed from a public building, but when you're trespassed from a public building, you have to be committing a crime. You have to be disorderly in some way or committing some sort of crime. But they're just kicking us out of buildings just because, and that's a violation of your 14th Amendment, and also your First Amendment, because if you're going to just kick us out just because, you might as well put in the black water fountains and the white water fountains again. That's it. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Manuel Mata.
Hello, my name is Manuel Mata, and I live in District 9. And I normally come up here to talk about the gun violence in and my youth, the kids in my neighborhood. I'm trying to help them, but it seems like no one's understanding this whole thing with the police. So I'm gonna try to make it clear, okay? I've tried internal affairs. I have about 25 complaints that were sustained by internal affairs, but it didn't stop them. I went to oversight police monitors. I have about 6 with them. It was the same way. They agreed with the internal affairs. They still didn't stop, right? Their only argument with me is how I talk to them. That because I raised my voice. And to me, that's trying to get them out of their little trip they're on, right? Because in their own policies, they state when they approach a suspect, they have to gain control, compliance. And one of the key things that they always say, we're allowed to use force to gain compliance. So whether it be assertive, we're allowed to punch them, we're allowed to pepper spray them, we're allowed to tase them to gain compliance. What's happening here is they're getting mad because of the way I talk to them when I'm explaining to them what is the penal code that I am violating by standing right here filming y'all. So I've asked for help that y'all provided. Y'all keep getting reports that say y'all need something different because it's not working. So those that want a community oversight, it's needed because what y'all have is a police chief that'll come down here and try to explain that he's involved in the community. He is not. I'm the biggest person that understands this problem because my focus is in Central Division B and A and the South. I can tell y'all about a story about the South Division where they can't even understand what they found in an officer's locker. I am getting arrested. I've been arrested 8 times for filming in a public space. And the only thing that they're mad about is because I raised my voice. I'm assertive. And I tried to explain to them what Turner versus Driver and the actual penal code, which I have. I have everything. I even have your 97-page report, your own policies. I studied everything. But why am I the bad guy? Because I'm pointing out a problem that no one wants to talk about, and y'all had 2 years to figure it out. And I can go further back if y'all need me to. I stick with facts, black and white, where it's simple.
Thank you, Mr. Mata. Council, that's the last of our speakers this evening. Meeting is adjourned.